Hello and welcome back to Terraria 1.3 with your host, Did Videos. So, today, we're going to be getting some gear. And the first thing we're going to do is go fishing. I built this nice little fishing shack here. The angler should eventually show up here. And I went and collected a whole bunch of bait. And I figured this lake out here should be big enough for us to actually get some fishing done in it. It is currently nighttime, which is, I'm not sure the exact time, but I know fishing at night isn't the best thing. But regardless, we've got some pretty good bait here, so it shouldn't actually matter. Well, we got some bass, that's fine. I preferred if we could get something else. As we're fishing, but we're not fishing for fish, if that makes any sense. We're fishing for gear, is what we're doing, and I know that there is a really good sword you can get very early on by fishing in lakes. Just some nice, relaxing fishing. Well, we're just getting bass. We're not getting any junk items, so that tells me that we're probably pretty good here. Actually, I'm gonna go grab that star while fishing. Oh, just out of range. It's very peaceful fishing. Except for all the zombies down there. We don't talk about the zombies down there. Just like real fishing, it's quite boring when nothing is happening. Although, again, real fishing is mostly used as an excuse to get away from people and have a nice time out by yourself where you just sit and think most of the time. Because most of the time, there aren't fish. Or there are fish, but they just don't give a damn about what you're doing. Getting a lot of bass. We don't want bass. I mean, bass are okay, but that's not what we're here for. Wow. So one thing I guess I could tell you about the mechanics of fishing while we wait for some fish. Let's see. First of all, you got to get a fishing rod. I made this one out of lead or iron, I suppose. Whatever your iron material is in your world, be it lead or iron, you can make a fishing rod out of it. You can also make one out of wood, but the lead one's better, trust me. Lead, iron, reinforced fishing pole is better than a wooden one. And then you'll need some bait. To get some bait, you're going to need a bug net. To get a bug net, you need about 45 silver, and then you go to your merchant and buy a bug net. Real hard, that one. And then, with your bug net in hand, you go out into the world and we got our first crate. We'll open that up in a second. It's not the one we're looking for, so we'll open it up in a second. So you go out into the world, and every time you cut down weeds and whatnot, you'll notice there's a chance every once in a while that a worm or a grasshopper might show up. And basically, you just hit those with a bug net, and that collects them up in a usable form. Worms are worth 25% bait power, which is pretty good. Grasshoppers are worth 10. Scorpions that you can find in the desert just wandering around, they're worth 10. Bunnies, goldfish, squirrels, they aren't worth anything, so don't bother collecting them. I mean, you can sell them or capture them for whatever reason you want, but you can. But they're not worth any bait, so it's debatable on whether or not you want to do that. And then there's, let's see, oh yes, and then if you have some stars, you can take a worm and a star and make an enchanted nightcrawler, which is 35% bait power, which is pretty good for if you don't have access to a jungle. Or if you're like I currently am and not geared up for adventuring around in the jungle, even on the surface. Because in the jungle, you can find bugs by breaking the plants that spawn in the jungle. Imagine that. And they have special bait in them that you can only get in the jungle. They're called buggy, sluggy, a buggy, a sluggy, and a grubby. That's what they're called. They're actually pretty powerful bait. Buggy is 40% power, which is pretty significant for a bait you can just find out in the world. From there, it's all just about fishing. Alright, let's open up that crate, shall we? We got a heart reach potion and some copper coins, is what it was. Well, that's not too bad. Increases pickup range for heart crystals, or hearts per life hearts, the hearts that enemies drop. Which is okay, not something we really are interested in that much though. What we're looking for here is iron crates. Iron crates have gear in them. Wooden crates are pretty poop. I mean, you can sometimes get some good stuff out of wooden crates, but what we're looking for is iron crates. Iron crates have much better loot inside of them. If we don't get something soon, I'm gonna have to cut until we do. Because we just getting 23 bass. Bass do have a use, which is actually kind of nice. We'll actually put them to use, because they actually are kind of useful, believe it or not. Can we get one more crate before I have to make a cut? Please? Gods, oh, fishing? Anything? No? Just gonna ignore me. Ah, another crate. Alright, cool. We got Hunter Potions, Lesser Mana Potions, and Lead Ore. So, our world has iron in it, but you'll notice I just got lead ore. This is one of the many ways that you can actually get, or one of the few ways, I suppose, you can get the ores that your world doesn't have. So if you really wanted gold, but you got platinum, don't despair, you can still get gold. It just takes a little bit of work to get it. You can get it via fishing, and you can get it via an extractinator, which is something we'll get to much later, because we don't have one at the moment. We might actually get one through fishing. It's possible. Alright, I'm going to cut until we get what we need. Hello and welcome back. So a minor interlude here. I just got back from a little adventure. I went over to the ocean and grabbed some coral, 6 pieces of coral because I have 6 water leaf, and I'm making 6 sonar potions. These will help greatly in our little quest here because if you drink them, I will show you their effect once we get back over here to the fishing place. Oh hey, look, a worm. I'll take it. So if we drink one of the sonar potions, and then throw our line, and watch the magic. This time, when we get a bobber, or when we get a fish, we can see what it is before we pull it up. That was a wooden crate, so I tried to pull it, but the line broke, unfortunately. That's a bass, so we're going to ignore it, because bass. And then we can just do this until we get what we need. Should be nice. Alright, I'm gonna cut until I get it. Why, hello there, and look at all these crates that I did collect, and you can see there at the bottom there is an iron one in there. That's what we're looking for. So, if you want to show it, you can also just put these down, by the way, and you can walk on them and use them as whatever. Use them as decoration. As well as, you can sell them, but I don't understand the point of selling them, because really, they're much more valuable. Alright, let's open these up, shall we? Start with the wooden ones. Arcane Tsunami in a Bottle. Fantastic. Let's see, even if we don't get what we want, we did get gear. Oh, also I did find this while fishing. This is a frog leg. It allows you to auto-jump, and it also increases your jump height. Look at that. It's ridiculous. Combine that with the double jump, and it's pretty ridiculous. Lesser Mana Potions and some Silver Ore. Gills Potions. More lead ore, some apprentice bait. We also got some journeyman bait, so this is some great bait there. More apprentice bait, some more potions, more journeyman bait, always with that. A nut, I think some more mana potions and some money. And some iron ore. Alright, last crate. Mana potions and 7 gold. Not what we wanted, but 7 gold is alright. Well, at least we got the bait now. Or got some slightly better bait, although the apprentice bait is still pretty terrible. But we still have 4 more sonar potions to get through here, so I will. And now we have some journeyman bait, so if we run out of night crawlers, that should be a little bit easier for me to get some sweet loot. Alright, I'll be back again with more crates. Hello, and welcome back to Terraria. Now, I'm a goddamn genius, and somehow didn't realize either A, my microphone was muted, or I lost the audio, or the recording somehow lost audio for the entire last segment of this damn video. So, you get me in the future of this video talking about what is going on for the rest of this video. You can see here I'm opening up some crates, and so far, I've mostly just gotten ore, honestly, from the crates. The best thing I got was the tsunami in a bottle out of these wooden crates, and that was the very first crate we opened. Alright, so there I get the extractinator, which is a useful material, or a useful crafting item, essentially. And we're going to open up the iron crates. German bait, 10 gold, and mana potions. Not great, and 9 gold. So needless to say, at this point I was quite disappointed with the iron crates, because normally you get much better loot from an iron crate than freaking money. Or just mana potions. I didn't get good bait, I didn't get any kind of equipment, period. I got an extractinator from a wooden crate. Needless to say, the iron crates were very disappointing for me there, and I was very disappointed about this. Oh, I did comment on the bombfish that I just got there. Bombfish, you can catch them while you're fishing, and they function in the exact same way as a sticky bomb does. In other words, you throw it, and it sticks to wherever it hits, and then after about 2 seconds, it explodes. Funnily enough, because it does have the word bomb in it. And if you somehow haven't found grenades, bombs, or dynamite, and yet you have bombfish, they will allow you to spawn the demolitionist. Because they are considered a bomb. So here we're just putting away all of our ores here, and at this point I comment on how you can easily see that my sorting system has the Tier 1 Variant A, or Variant A ores on the top there, and they're bars above them, and then the ore below them, and then the Variant B ores, so tin, lead, tungsten, and platinum are below it. In much the same way, with the gems on the far right side. And then here we put down the extractinator, and I run down and see if I can demonstrate the extractinator. What I'm looking for now is either slush, silt, or fossils. I know for a fact we don't have fossils, but I figured we might have some silt. And give him a second. There he goes. He found some silt. Silt is a material you find underground. It falls, much like sand does. I'm sure I've said that before. But you just go ahead and just place it on top of the extractinator, and it falls on in and gives you lots of fun stuff. You can get anything from ores to gems to money from the extractinator, and it is one of the ways that you can get any given ore, regardless of what your world has in it. So, for example, our world here has, what was it, copper, iron, tungsten, and platinum. Meanwhile, the extractinator and fishing can give you any ore, period. Just any ore at all. So you can get, so even if your world doesn't have gold, but you really want that gold hat, you can get gold, you just have to either fish for it, or use the extractinator. Here we talk about how we stacked up all our money there. We've got 39 gold, which is a significant amount of money. Most of that did come from the crates, mind you. Some of it came from the slime event of last episode. Slime event. And then, yeah. Can't remember what I was talking about here. I was clearly talking about something important. What was I doing? Oh, I remember what I was doing. I was getting iron and lead to make a cooking pot. With the cooking pot, as I'll show here in a minute, you can make your fish that you catch, like bass, as well as a few other things, into like a baked fish kind of delicious thing. And this gives you a minor improvement to all stats. This would be things like your attack speed, your attack damage, your normal speed, your it doesn't give any hit bonus to health. I believe it gives maybe 1 or 2 bonus to defense, or a little bit to endurance there. It also gives you minor life regeneration, which is pretty significant, I'd say. Very useful. Here we're just sorting out our inventory before we get on with the adventure, I suppose, as one would say. Here I'm explaining the difference between bomb fish and other bombs, which is, you know, very much the same thing. I determined I don't really need the mana potions, so I'm putting them away. And then I realized I still have my bait in my inventory, and realized I need to fix that. So I get out 2 iron bars, make up a chest, and then run over to the fishing hut. Wow, brain, couldn't remember that. Fishing hut, and go ahead and put down a chest for the bait. Swimming across. Trying to get up through there. Realizing I've already used my double jump somehow, so I just go up the normal way. And then stacking in the bait in order of how powerful it is. You can catch butterflies as well, so if you'll see random butterflies and whatnot flying around by your house, if you've got a bug net, feel free to catch them, either for collecting purposes or for using them for bait. Some of them are stronger than others. The rarer the butterfly, the stronger bait it is. That kind of holds true for every piece of bait, though. You can also catch fireflies, so if you see those little green dots flying around at night that light up and go away every once in a while, those are fireflies. Go ahead and catch those. They are 20% bait power, which is almost as good as a worm. Funnily enough, worms are one of the most common bait, and yet they're also one of the most powerful ones you can just find. Most of the bait you have to either fish for and get it out of a crate, like the journeyman bait, the apprentice bait, and so on. But most of them you can just find, or make a couple of them. You can make enchanted night crawlers using just a worm and a star, which is fairly powerful. It's 35, I believe? Yes, 35. But you can just find them in the thing. Find more powerful bugs than that in the jungle by chopping down the jungle plants and cutting them there. So here I've demonstrated, or pointing out the fact that we got some NPCs while I was fishing. Specifically the dye trader and the painter. So the dye trader, all those strange plants we had, we can now turn them into him, the dye trader, and switch them out for all kinds of things. So here we have a little fashion show here, while I demonstrate all of the different dyes that we got. You can get the dye trader by either beating one of the main one of the 3 bosses, so the Eye of Cthulhu, the Eater of Worlds, or the Brain of Cthulhu, depending on if you have Corruption or Crimson, and or Skeletron. All you have to do is beat one of them, and the dye trader will show up, as long as you have a dye plant in your inventory. There is a new way in 1.3 to get them to show up, and that is by having a strange plant and a dye plant in your inventory at the same time. The strange plant will fulfill the boss requirement. Good lord. The boss requirement. Otherwise, you'll have to kill a boss. But it's much easier to just not use a boss. So we got the gold there. It's very nice. I'm pointing out how the reflective dyes, if you move around in different levels of light, you do actually sparkle. Just like a reflective item in game, like a coin or a golden chest. Or ore. As you can see, that copper just glinted there in the underground there, and it glints every once in a while, and water glints, and ore glints, and all that, and if you have a reflective dye on, you can glint too, because you want to be a sparkly, sparkly vampire. And here I'm pointing out how the reflective obsidian is freaking dark, that how we almost match the background of the house, which is actually kind of funny, I thought. Oh, I also pointed out that the painter moved into the guide's old house. I do need to bring down that house so that NPCs stop moving in over there, because it's kind of annoying. Because then I have to build them another house over here in the anyway, and it's kind of annoying just having them over there. The painter sells paints. Imagine that. And he also sells wallpapers. Wallpapers are essentially just a background wall that you can put down. They're not cheap. They're a little bit expensive. But, you know, they're okay. I mean, they all look different, too, which is great. You can see here our mushroom farm has expanded. We got 21 mushrooms out of 1 harvest, which normally would have taken us 3 or 4 harvests beforehand. And, you know, we can expand that further out later as well. Yes, so right now I was deciding, why haven't I actually made anything out of the ore that I got from the fishing trip, or the fishing exponenza. So here I'm debating a gold bow or a platinum bow, because I got a tungsten bow, but the platinum bow is stronger. But then I think, well, what about a sword? I don't have a sword, so I'm thinking, platinum broadsword does 15 damage. That's real tempting. Gold only does 11. That's as much damage as my bow currently does. I'm thinking, maybe silver, but now I'm a platinum. And I'm looking at the platinum bow, tungsten bow, gold bow. I'm thinking long and hard about this process, and eventually I just end up going with the platinum broadsword, and I get a dangerous platinum broadsword with 7% extra damage, 2% critical strike chance, and plus 5% size. Fantastic. And I'm thinking, maybe I'll go with something else. And I'm like, well, no. If I make a gold bow, it's probably just going to be about the same strength as my tungsten bow is already. So I put everything else away and just get on with it. So I've got the trident, rope, platinum broadsword. I think we're good to go. I figure if we made it past the corruption on the right side, that corruption there. Yep, that corruption right there. If we made it past the corruption on the right side, we can make it past it on the left side. So our adventure is to the left side of the map. And to the ocean. Also, we are still working on getting extra gear this episode. So there is one more thing we're looking for on this little adventure here. And I know it will be on the left-hand side because it's always opposite of the jungle. And the jungle is on the right side. So, there you go. And here's the painter, so I'll show you what he's got here. Just paints and some wallpapers. Some pretty fancy wallpapers. We'll take a look at those next time we need to build some houses, which actually will be soon because we need to build him a house and get him over the place. And so here I commented on the fact that I'm just finding worms on the ground here. When it's raining, you can just randomly find worms just laying around outside, just moving along on their own as they do, because worms. That's just what worms do. And so here we think, all right, let's get into the corruption. I'm taking out this Eater of Souls. It's really dark, even with the night vision helmet. But I'm killing him. I'm taking him out. And then I take one out and two more show up. And before I'm even done taking these guys out, another one shows up, and then another one shows up. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? We didn't have this many Eater of Souls when we went to the right-hand side of the map. And here's another Eaters of Souls. I'm like, all right, fuck it. I'm just going to run. Just run past the bastards. And here I realize, oh, it's snowing in corruption, which means that the thing we're looking for, which is an ice biome, or a snow biome, is in the corruption. Which is okay, but it's not great for us because we want one that isn't in the corruption, so that way we can harvest what we want from the snow biome without having Eaters of Souls trying to devour my face. Which, as it might seem kind of obvious, having Eaters of Souls devouring your face is detrimental to mining, as it turns out. So here we're just going and going and going and trying to get out of the corruption. Just gotta get out of the corruption. I'm ignoring the plants. I shouldn't ignore the plants, but I am, because I just want to get out of the corruption, and I'm out of the corruption now. Proper out of the corruption here. You can see the water has turned blue. That's what we wanted here. And there we go. We're just on our way now. So you want to try and avoid the water in an ice biome, because it will freeze you, and it will give you a debuff called Frozen, which slows you down drastically. And it is permanent as long as you're in the water, and then as soon as you leave the water, it lasts for 5 seconds. Which doesn't seem like much, but when you're being chased by Eaters of Souls and craploads of zombies, it's kind of significant. So I'm trying to avoid as much water here as possible, which can only be done to a certain extent because we can't fly. It's not like we can fly, we only have a double jump. Even though the double jump is pretty significant. And here I comment on the massive lake I just fell into, and how we could easily go fishing here in the future. But I also comment on how I'm very sick of fishing at the moment for this episode, because, quite frankly, I was fishing a lot this episode. Like, I may have only been on camera fishing for maybe a couple minutes. I was fishing a lot off camera. I went through 6 sonar potions and a lot of crap to get those 6 sonar potions, and I did fish for a while without those sonar potions even in the first place, which was kind of tiresome, to say the least. So here I realized, okay, alright, this is the end of the snow biome. I didn't find any of what I wanted exposed on the surface, so we're going to have to dig for it. So I start making a hole, and very quickly I realize the zombies are going to just fall into the hole after me, so I make a sideways path here so that I can easily just boop and deal with the zombies when they fall down. Although this is tiring and annoying dealing with these zombies, I will eventually just deal with them completely. After these two, anyway. Because zombies are assholes. And I figure, oh, why not try out my actual new platinum broadsword? And it turns out it's pretty good. It's pretty good at its job. Funnily enough. Yeah, take that, zombie. Raincoat zombie. And then I'm like, alright, screw it, I'm done with the zombies, and I just wall myself in. So that no zombies can follow me. And then I start mining downward again. So right now what I'm looking for is ice. Ice is very useful in Terraria. You can use it to make ice furniture. Oh, there's a penguin there. Oop, that's mine now. So I'm looking for ice. Looking for ice. And amazingly, I haven't found any yet. And it's usually... ice is usually everywhere. Just everywhere in a snow biome. Usually it's on the surface, it's all the way... There was some purple ice over by the corruption. We don't want that because it gives us purple ice, and we want normal ice. And there we go, we finally find some ice. And I checked, did we bring any bombs? We did not, so we're just mining the ice by hand. Which is not that bad, because we do have a platinum pickaxe, so it goes relatively quickly. Ice is the snow biome equivalent of stone. It appears everywhere that stone would appear, which is why it was so amazing that I found so little ice in the snow biome up until this point. So using the ice, you can make ice torches. Which is just a normal torch combined with a piece of ice. Makes 3 torches, I believe. Or it might be 3 torches, makes 3 ice torches. Yes, it is 3 ice torches equals... Or 3 torches equals 3 ice torches. And here I demonstrate you can make frostburn arrows. So, an ice torch plus a wooden arrow makes a frostburn arrow that does 9 damage. But I need more torches to make more of them. So I make a bunch of torches, and then I make up a bunch of ice torches. I demonstrate here flaming arrows you can make with normal torches only do 7 damage. Jester's arrows do 10, but they take stars, so they're a bit more expensive. So, ice arrows are better than flaming arrows, which are better than wooden arrows, and Jester arrows beat all of them. So, crafting up loads of frostburn arrows. I've got 700 of them. I think we're ready to rock and roll. So let's get the hell out of this ice thing and get exploring to the left side of the map, shall we? So, fire arrows, when you hit your enemy with it, will occasionally inflict the on fire debuff on your enemy, which, as one might imagine, means they're on fire. Pretty effective, funnily enough, setting your opponents on fire. Frostburn arrows do something similar. They inflict the frostburn debuff, which is like on fire, but it's cold fire. If that makes any sense to you, lovely people out there. On fire can be easily put out by just jumping into water, whereas Frostburn does not. You cannot put out Frostburn by jumping into water, which is pretty effective, especially against ocean enemies, as we'll see later in the video. Spoilers. So here we're just going through the desert, and I comment on the fact that while it's raining, you can get water leaf seeds from the desert. And this is a very important thing, especially if you're actually planning on playing the game for any significant length of time, especially on expert mode. Because water leaf and water leaf seeds, you can use them to get potions. And potions are amazingly effective, as one might imagine. We've already seen the uses of things like the sonar potion. We've seen swiftness potions. I believe I've used a couple swiftness potions. Off-screen, I've used a couple building potions. Those are useful. Soon on, we'll see mining potions. We'll see iron skins. I believe we've even seen shine potions. In fact, we're seeing a shine potion right now. I have a shine potion equipped. That's why I'm so shiny right now. Although, yet I'm still using a torch because reasons. So as you might imagine, being able to make any potion you want can be quite effective. Water leaf is one of the key ingredients in making a lot of potions. You need it to make things like gills potions, sonar potions, fishing potions, crate potions. Lots of potions involving fishing. All those ones involve fishing. You need for water walking potions. You need it for obsidian skin potions, I believe, which are very useful. Obsidian skin lets you swim in lava, which is very useful in certain areas of the world. And yeah, so water leaf is very useful, but you can only get water leaf seeds, so you can plant your own water leaf, when it's raining. Each plant has a thing, a circumstance you have to fulfill for it to be able to bloom. For water leaf, that means it's raining. To get water leaf to bloom, it has to be raining. It used to be you just be able to submerge it underwater with a bucket of water, and that worked just fine. Now it has to be raining, and it's much more difficult. Which also makes them one of the most rare plants in the game, depending on your world. Because some worlds have a tendency to just rain more than others, meanwhile others are drier than a desert. Which makes it real fun finding water leaf. Real fun. Let's see. What other plants do we currently have? Day blooms. They are, as the name might indicate, they bloom during the day. They will bloom all day, every day, until night falls. Then they will stop blooming. If you harvest a plant when it is not blooming, you get the plant, but you don't get any seeds, which means you cannot continue to grow more of this crop, or of this plant. Day blooms are very useful. You can use them with just a day bloom and a mushroom equals a regeneration potion, which is, as one might imagine, very useful having extra life regen. It is a super simple potion to fabricate, and it is one of the best potions in the game, hands down, because regeneration. Yeah. Combine that with something like your food that gives you health regeneration, or a campfire that gives you life regeneration, or all three of them, and it's amazing. So, we'll get back to potions in a minute. Here I want to talk about the dungeon that we just found, and this is a dungeon. And I figure we'll kill off the eaters of souls that are following us before we head into the dungeon. The dungeon is a fun little place. It is very much out of our league at the moment. But doesn't mean we can't go into it. So the old man at the front, he will, when it's nighttime, he will let you summon his master. His master is what guards the dungeon. You see, my master cannot be summoned in the light of day. So when it is daytime, and when it is nighttime, and you summon his master, it's a boss battle. That would be Skeletron, who is very, very difficult to fight. You'll see I just got a water bolt there. I'll explain that in a second. Skeletron allows you, once you defeat him, it allows you to go into the dungeon, as you can see there. I'm actually going into the dungeon a little bit. You do not want to go into the dungeon very far without defeating Skeletron, because bad things will happen to you if you go down there without defeating Skeletron. So I see that water candle there, and I decide, I'll turn around now. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave the dungeon. I'll take the potion that's on the outside of the potion, or outside of the dungeon, but that's good. And I got the water bolt. Water Bolt is a spell that spawns in the dungeon. It is one of the first spells you can get a hold of in the game. It is also one of the first magic weapons. In fact, until 1.2, it was the first magic weapon you could find if you ran to the dungeon, because you could find them on top of the dungeon without having to defeat Skeletron. Water Bolt is a very simple spell. It fires a water bolt. It's like a fire bolt, but water-based, in a general direction, or in the direction your mouse is pointing. And then it just goes that way, and just hits everything in its way. It can hit infinite numbers of monsters, which makes it very powerful. And it also bounces. So when it hits a wall, it'll bounce back. And when it hits another wall, it'll bounce back again. And it'll bounce off at angles, or 180 degrees if you fire it perfectly straight. You know, it'll do that all day. It'll bounce about 3 or 4 times. It'll also go for a certain distance. So it'll either bounce 3 or 4 times, or until it goes a maximum distance, in which case the water bolt will disappear. Magic weapons can have modifiers on them just like any other normal weapon can. So I believe we got I don't remember what we got. It'll show us here in a second when I hover over it, because I know I use it here in a minute. Care to tell us which kind of water bolt we got? Yeah, so here I released the penguin. I tried to get the penguin to go into the water, but he didn't go. I scrolled over the water bolt there too fast for me to see what it was. So here I decide, you know what, I'm going to try and get some coral from the ocean so I can make more sonar potions. And it was just actually just a water bolt. So it didn't have any special modifiers on it, it's just a water bolt. And I figured, oh, where's the gills potions? And then I realized I forgot the gills potions. Or I didn't bring them. So I decide, alright, this is going to be more or less a one-way trip, so I'm trying to grab as much coral as I can here. Well, it's the same thing I did inside the ocean. And then I saw something very intimidating coming towards me there, and I immediately got out of the ocean. You can see just some pink jellyfish standing around there. But, don't see what I saw yet. Unless you saw it in that very quick glimpse of it when it was there. You'll see it in a minute here. And I decided to craft some mana crystals here out of my stars that I have laying around. So I can use more water bolt. Because look how effective that is. I mean, just bounced around everywhere. And there's what we saw before. A shark, which in expert mode has 600 HP. So you can see the water bolts there went through both of them. And I'm actually going to demonstrate this as well. Also, I here demonstrate the fact that the frostburn works underwater, as that shark is very much in water, but it is still burning. And then I draw the shark's attention, poke them with the spear until they're lined up, and then switch to the water bolt and decimate them. Because water bolts. That's just how they do. They don't hit infinite enemies, but if you have a lot of mana, you can just keep casting them, and water bolts have enough knockback to hold back pretty much anything, short of really fast and strong enemies. So here this is going to be difficult to watch because it's dark down there, but I'm trying to just get as much coral as I can, and I've got, I think, 5 right now, which is not much, but it's better than none. And I'm just grabbing as much as I can, trying to avoid jellyfishes. Luckily, I can see the jellyfish in the dark. The thing is, every time I turn the light off, I'm wondering, is there a shark about to eat my face? Because there might be. And so here, I'm like, alright, I'm out of air here. I need to go back up to the top here. And so I get up to the top, get some air, and then head down a little bit further to the left in an attempt to find a water chest, avoiding the jellyfish, and boom, there's the chest. Run, 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 run to the chest. What's in there? A trident. Mining potions, healing potions, and shurikens. Nothing worth it, and we're out. So, that has been that, and this has been Terraria 1.3. I've been Dead Videos. Have a pleasant morning, afternoon, evening, and good night.